So you've decided, I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to do something about my overall health. Got rid of processed foods, got rid of all those sugary snacks and everything. And then you realize, man, I could use a sweet treat. Maybe one of those little candy bars, those candy covered nuts or something. Living a healthy lifestyle doesn't mean you have to give up something. It just means finding a better alternative with better ingredients. Welcome to Lori's Kitchen, real food for your health. And today I'm going to share with you one of the snacks that I make to get me through some of those times. Candied pecans. Let's take a look. Okay, so here we are. These are our ingredients for today. Not a lot, but it packs a huge flavor punch. All right, it's going to go ahead and fulfill that craving for you. Of course, we have our pecans. Always try to find a non-GMO organic source of your pecans. Very important. We want some clean ingredients. That's the whole point. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of butter. This is one of my favorites. I use the Kerrygold Irish butter, grass-fed cows. Always important to note that whatever the cow is eating is basically what you're going to be eating too. So we go for the organic stuff, the cows that have been grass-fed, grass-finished for your cow meats, things of that nature. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and in this case, I'm using the LaCanta monk fruit sweetener, the alternative to actual sugar. And we're going to use 2 tablespoons of the LaCanta maple flavored syrup for our. So we have our pan on a really low heat. We're dealing with butter, and so we don't want to burn it. We want a nice caramel type of effect once we're done, but it's important not to burn the butter. It doesn't hold well in high temperatures, and once you start burning it, it kind of denatures things in it. And once you go down that path, you actually start having some inflammation issues because you start breaking down the fat in here in the butter, and that's not good. So we're going to have that lightly melt. Now this is going to be a little bit of a balancing act because, as I said, we don't want our butter to burn, but we also want a little bit of that caramel effect because that's going to give us that flavor that we're looking for in a candied pecan. So you'll have to bear with me as I juggle this. The recipe itself is pretty easy. It's just getting the temperature right. So here's our 2 tablespoons of our LaCanta brown sugar that we're using. And I'm going to mix that up just a little bit. And what we want to see is we want to see the brown sugar start melting a little bit into our butter. Now this process is going to take a few minutes because, again, we don't want it to burn, but we do want it to get a nice brown color, nice deep brown color. Now normally I'd go ahead and sit here and kind of cut out this part, but for this video I'm not, because this is really the important step in getting this right. So you'll have to kind of bear with me. But in the meantime, I'll give you some nice interesting facts as we wait for our butter and sugar mixture to turn into something akin to caramel here. So we all have been taught that nuts are good for you. And for the most part, that is true. Certain nuts you really should avoid because they're highly inflammatory. Number 1 on that list is peanuts. I won't go into technical details with that. We can save that for another time. But pecans are always one of my favorite go-tos, besides macadamia nuts. I do like with pistachios. Walnuts are also good, and peely nuts, if you can find them, are excellent. So as you can see, we're starting to melt now. I keep moving it around because I don't want anything to really burn. The pecans are great. They're they have your monounsaturated fats. That what they really have that's is your oleic acid, which is really good for you. They have antioxidants that actually help to reduce things like heart disease. So it's one of those nuts where they found that the antioxidants in it actually help lower your LDL. All right, you see that little bit of smoke? Now we're getting there. So I'm going to take it off the heat here and hold it as I stir it just a little bit. Again, I'm actually on a pretty low heat. Again, watch your butter. Your butter will burn easily. So now that I've got it to where it's just starting to smoke a little bit, again, I don't want it to burn. I'm going to set this aside for a second. I want to take it off the heat while I go ahead and add the 2 tablespoons of my maple syrup. So there's 1, there's 2. There we go. I'm going to put it back on the heat again. As you can see, now that the maple syrup has mixed with the butter there, it's almost getting this peanut brittle effect. That's what I call it. My parents used to make peanut brittle when I was a kid, so I remember that bubbly well. Very good memories. I don't know if you can tell, but you're starting to get a kind of a slight thickness here and a nice color. It's getting a little bit darker. At this point, I'm going to put it back on the heat, and I'm going to start adding the pecans. Now, like I said, this is going to be about the equivalent of 2 to 2.5 cups here. We just want to get enough pecans in there that we can get a nice even coating, light even coating of our mixture. So I'm going to toss that around a little bit. Make sure everything gets coated evenly. And we're going to let that heat up a little bit longer because we're going to wait for the pecans to slightly toast. Yeah, this is a wonderful alternative to something you'll get in the store. I've seen some of these packaged snacks of candied pecans, kind of like this, that market themselves as, of course, non-GMO and good for you and everything. And then you turn the label over and you find out that, well, they've added all kinds of other oils to them. One of them is canola oil. That stuff is really not good for you. If you do a little bit of research, you'll find out that canola oil actually is short for Canadian oil. It was a project where they were trying to come up with an oil. It's an engine oil that they were trying to come up with, a more expensive version. And it turns out it didn't work. It broke down too easily in the engines. So there was a lot of money that went into that research. And of course they wanted to see if they could recoup some of that. And they found out that, well, technically it's, yeah, you can eat it. So they started marketing it as canola oil. Always amazing what you find out when you do a little bit of research. Okay, so we're starting to smoke just a little bit here. And as you can see, the color's just getting a little darker on the pecans. And I wish you could actually smell this because this smells amazing. As you can see in the bottom of the pan here, I hope you can see it, where we're getting a little bit of that darker color from our butter sugar mixture. As soon as you start getting that nice brown color, and you can just, there's a distinct smell to it. That toasted pecan smell with a slight candied smell. It's absolutely wonderful. Okay, I'm going to take this off the heat right now because I don't want it to burn. And I'm going to turn this off. And bear with me as I juggle with the camera for our next step here. I'll let you take a look at my chickens. That a good friend of mine make these for me. They're wonderful, and I use them whenever I can. All right, so we've got basically a cookie sheet with parchment paper on it, and we're going to go ahead and pour this out here. Sorry for covering the front of the camera there. I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. New to the whole YouTube thing, so I know that I'm going to be making a couple of mistakes here, but I appreciate the fact that you bear with me. All right, so be careful because these are going to be very, very hot, and it's easy to burn yourself with this. So please be very careful. All right, so I'm going to separate them out on the cookie sheet here so that they get a chance to cool down so we can actually enjoy our candied pecans. Our pecans have had some time to cool down now, and I wanted to give you a nice close-up, and I hope you can see this. These things, they've just got a very light coating of our candied mixture. Just enough sweetness on the pecans to make this absolutely delicious. All right, so here we have our finished product. These things are amazing. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. It's a wonderful snack if you just have to have that, I gotta have a candy bar or I gotta have something sweet or something like that. And again, it's not a matter of giving up anything. It's a matter of finding better choices, healthier choices, things that actually agree with your body. Something like this compared to something that you'll buy in the store, it costs you about the same as, actually, this would be a little bit cheaper to make. And it's more nutritious for you. You know the ingredients that are going into it. Comparative wise, a bag of these kind of snacks, exactly the kind of pecan snacks type of thing that we're making here today, is comparable to the number of calories and stuff like that. If you're into looking into that, what's important is the macronutrients, what this is really giving you. And this stuff, especially if you're like on a keto diet, if you will, it's going to hit your macros right on point. It's amazing. As far as an alternative to a candy bar, you know what? This is going to be fewer calories. It's good for you ingredients. They're wholesome ingredients. They're going to provide your body some nutrition. I hope you enjoyed, because I'm going to enjoy these here in a minute. But again, thank you for hanging out with me. Subscribe if you'd like. Give me a thumbs up if I'm doing all right. Leave some comments down below. Give me some ideas of what you want to look into. Again, this is Lori's Kitchen, real food for your health. Until next time.